Hi everyone, this is Jay at iFast University, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I have started teaching anatomy to our interns. And anatomy is probably one of my weakest areas, if not my weakest area overall. So it's a really great opportunity for me to practice and learn anatomy myself as we're going over anatomy with some of our interns. So here's what we did today, for example. I gave the interns four muscles: the psoas, iliacus, sartorius, and rectus femoris. And I had them go look up the muscles, go learn the attachments, the proximal attachment and the distal attachment. And then I had them copy the drawings from Gray's Anatomy or whatever anatomy book or internet resource they wanted to look at. And then I had them put their notes aside and then draw the muscles from memory, and then I quizzed them verbally on what the muscles do and how they're related to other muscles and what the muscles do in this position and that position. So to build off of my talk from yesterday from my live stream, what we're doing is we're testing their recall and not just the recognition. And one thing that I want to highlight is that learning takes place when you get a sense of the gap between your recognition and your recall. So recognition would be, if I look at the explanation for the rectus femoris and I learn that it flexes the hip and it extends the knee, I can understand what's going on there. But if you ask me what the rectus femoris does and I can't produce it by myself, then I don't have recall yet. So you can have recognition all the time and you might be lacking in recall. And when I say I'm weak in anatomy, that's what I mean, is I can understand what muscles do when I hear other people talk about them, but if you want me to go up to the blackboard and draw it by myself, cold, there are so many muscles that I wouldn't be able to do a good job on. And I'll forget exactly what their attachment points are, so I'll know that they're kind of, around the lumbar spine, but I won't remember that it's, T12 through L5, or whatever it is for a specific muscle. So this was a really hard exercise for our interns, and they struggled a lot with it. And so when they struggle, I try really hard to reassure them that it's okay to struggle, because in highlighting what they don't remember, and in highlighting the mistakes they're making when they say that the sartorius produces internal rotation of the femur rather than external rotation, I correct them, that's an opportunity for them to understand what they don't know and cement that in their learning now, so that they know they made a mistake and they know they can learn from it. So the goal is always to make them feel like it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay not to know it cold, but by practicing it over and over and over again, they're going to get it down cold someday. And the goal is to have them make their mistakes early and often, so that they don't make mistakes later on when the stakes are higher and it really does matter. So this is a kind of a painful way to learn anatomy, because it's so much easier for me, for example, to look at my flashcards and color. And Lance put out a post about how to learn anatomy, and he said that coloring books have been really helpful for him. And for me, I've got to disagree with that. I've colored a whole bunch of muscles, and I've never found it helpful. And I think the reason is because that it's not active enough. I'm just copying along, or I'm coloring in the muscles that are already there, and I'm not testing my recall enough. I'm just reinforcing my recognition. And one thing about recognition is that when you read a textbook over and over, or when you color the same muscle over and over, or when you do the flashcards over and over, and you're getting them right every time, I can recognize glute max like a champ. It really gives you kind of a false sense of how good your anatomy knowledge is, or how good your physiology knowledge is, because you are demonstrating to yourself that you recognize everything really, really well, and you understand it, or you think you understand it. And so it's not until you test that with recall and try to teach someone else, or go up to the board and try to draw it in front of interns, and then you have to really be sure that that the psoas attaches to the transverse processes, because otherwise you kind of have this vague knowledge and you think you know because you've seen it in the textbook 20 times. So that's it for today, guys. That's what we did with our interns, and I hope you use this method and let me know how it goes. Thanks a lot.